I'm taking a look at Linux Mint Ulyana today. Hey everyone, what's happening? Today we're taking a look at the new version of Linux Mint, which is Linux Mint 20, which is codenamed Ulyana, which is a Russian name, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Now, I have taken a look at the beta a little bit, so I know what to expect, kind of, but we're going to go ahead and dive into it because I don't do reviews of betas, really. I might take looks at beta on this channel, but I don't review them or the channel and have my final thoughts ready before they are released because things change. So let's jump over to the desktop and dive into this. So here we are on the Linux Mint 20 Ulyana desktop, and of course first when you first log in you get this welcome screen that Linux Mint has always had. It's actually a good tour for Linux Mint and how to get set up. So we're just going to go briefly through this and we're going to go first steps. And the first thing I noticed here is this desktop colors. This seems to be new. On the welcome screen it has a light and then you can switch to dark. I think that that's actually a nice feature. I actually like dark themes, so we're going to go ahead and hit the dark theme. And then I also have the ability to change colors around here too. So that's actually a nice feature. Then of course you have the panel layout for traditional and modern. So you can change your panel layout to whatever you want. And then this check your video drivers up here. If you install this on hardware, you won't get this. This is because it's in a virtual machine. We're just going to ignore that. That's expected for a virtual machine. Of course, then you have time shift for system snapshots, which I think is a nice inclusion to Linux Mint. They have time shift installed by default. And of course, your driver manager, your update manager to get that set up, the system settings, and your software manager. Now, we will launch into the update manager because there is something that you should see. And when you go to update, you press OK right here. It's going to go ahead and refresh. And then it says, do you want to switch to a local mirror? Yes, you do want to switch to a local mirror. If you want faster updates, you need to change this base to a US mirror. Other than that, everything else is pretty much straightforward. And then of course you have your links to your documentation, your release notes, your new features, and your help. And your help right here for your IRC chat room and your web forums. And then you have your contribute links for donations. So there's a nice little welcome screen. We're going to leave it in the dark mode like I had it set for. I don't think the default wallpaper has changed for several versions, but let's go ahead, let's take a look at the wallpapers here. So we're going to go to change desktop background. Of course you have the standard Linux Mint backgrounds right here. I don't think these have actually changed since last version. I actually like these. But these are pretty much your samples right here. I actually like this one, so I'll just leave that like that. Now, going down to the taskbar, we have our clock down here. We have our battery indicator, our volume, our network indicator, your update manager. It says I have 56 updates available. Wow, this is a new release, and yeah, they've patched some things, obviously. And then we have our system reports right there. So that's pretty much changed. Now, some of these icons have actually changed since Linux Mint 19, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, you have your standard files, which is Nemo. And then, of course, you have, let's see what version of Nemo it is, 4.6. Of course, that's your standard file manager for Cinnamon. And you have your terminal right here, and of course you have your Firefox and your show desktop. Now, I always like to move the show desktop to the right, which I will do by going right down here, and going to panel edit mode, and then moving this over to the over here to the right. And that's about the only change to the panel I make. Now, of course, here's your launcher menu right here. Of course, you have your standard power buttons on the side, your files for Nemo, your terminal, your system settings, your software manager, and your Firefox web browser, which is the default. Now, the software manager is its own in-house software store, and actually it does a pretty good job. This has Flatpak built into it, and it gives a pretty good job of sorting Flatpaks and regular packages. So there is that. Now let's go through some of the menu here, what's installed here. Of course, we have our standard Cinnamon accessories right here. And of course, you have your document scanner, your drawing, basically your photo editing, and your document scanner, and your picture library right here. Of course, for internet, of course, you have Firefox, which should be the latest version of Firefox. I'll check that in a minute. You'll know why in a second. Text chat for your IRC chat rooms. Of course, they've got the Linux Mint chat IRC built in for help. Then, of course, you have Thunderbird for your mail client and transmission for your BitTorrents. I agree. Which is alright. And now, of course, Office, you have, of course, a calendar app, and LibreOffice, which is the full Office suite. What version of LibreOffice is this? This is actually 6.4, which is actually the 3.2, which is actually the newest version of LibreOffice. That's actually pretty nice to have. Of course, you have Celluloid for your videos. That should be like 0.19, yep. That's actually a fork of Xvideo, that's Cinnamon standard, and of course you have Rhythmbox for your music player. And now you go to administration. Of course, you have your standard options right here. Basically, you can access all your. You can also access. You can also access most of your preferences by clicking System Settings here on the left, and have your full settings set right here. Then you also have, of course, your places for your home, desktop, etc., and then, of course, your recent files. One thing that you're going to notice is that when you go to your terminal right here, and you type sudo apt install snap D, which is to install snap support, you're not going to be able to install it because they have removed that. Now they do have. Now I may have an issue with this, and it's probably not as big of an issue as I think it is, but I think this is obstructing your ability to choose what you want to install in your operating system. I'm not a big fan of the distribution saying you cannot install this when it's normally supported, but they do have a supported way to put it back into the package list. And you will, the way you do that is you go to this website right here and run these commands. So basically you're removing a configuration file that they've added to remove snapd from your package list. So we're just going to go ahead and copy that command in here. And then, now that that's been removed, we're going to do a sudo apt update. Now it's going to update and refresh the package list. And now it says now 171 packages can be upgraded. Well, we're not going to run those updates, but now I can run a sudo apt install snapd and it will install. Now I may have an issue with this, and that's just my own personal opinion of the way they've done this, but this is how you can get that installed if you wish to. Now let's go ahead and run a check on your memory and processor speed. So sudo apt install neo fetch. I know that we're going to need to install that, and htop, because those are not normally installed. Yes, we want to install. Now that we've got those installed, we're going to now run a free. Now we're going to clear. And now we're going to go ahead and we'll maximize this and control shift. Now we'll do a free mem. And as you can see, we're using about a gig of memory right now. But I've been running some things and we've got a web browser open, etc. So let's go ahead, let's close the web browser actually. Because we're done with that. Let's now run a free -m. Oh. Free -m. Now it's running 791, and that's actually pretty low. I have been opening things, it's cached some memory. 791 is actually not bad, so it probably uses about 600 megabytes on startup. I probably should have checked that at startup, but I didn't. That was my own stupid fault. But memory on Cinnamon is actually amazing for memory usage. And now we're going to go ahead and run a neo fetch. Now, of course, we're running Linux Mint 20. Of course, we're running the 5.4 kernel. And of course, we're running Cinnamon, Mutters, the window manager, etc., etc. Now, that was my quick look and thumb through of Linux Mint Ulyana. It actually is a pretty nice desktop. I actually like it. It's pretty responsive, even in a virtual machine. It's got up-to-date packages, etc. Now, I may not agree with what they've done with the snaps. I've done videos. There are links in the description and up in the corners. They exist. You can go and watch those videos. I'm not going to dive right into that. But I may not agree with this, but that does not mean I'm going to completely abandon Linux Mint and promoting it, etc. It's a small little beef I have with them. So don't get me wrong, I may have a small beef with them about the snap support, but I still love Linux Mint. I'm still going to feature on the channel. I'm not completely abandoning the project as far as supporting. It's just not going to be on the top of my list of recommendations. Because of that, I'm still going to do some videos on it, etc. The reason why I love Linux Mint is just because they try and make it very easy for the users to install and be able to use it right out of the box coming from Windows. It is so, the Cinnamon desktop so tries to run as close to Windows 7 as possible, so they can jump right into it and not have to fix anything, not have to learn a new interface. It's basically what everyone's used to already. So I think that that's a great idea. I still think they should continue with it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. If you don't, that's what that thumbs down button is for. And go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you like my content and wish to support my work, you can do so on Patreon. The link is in the description. Also, if you wish to see more, check out the videos on your screen.